All right. As I said, these distinctions I don't care about, but I'm still going to cover them. I'm just not concerned whether you keep the words straight. You will only be asked to do a biomagnification problem on the unit test. This is bioaccumulation. Pick the symbol of a clock, and your body is a filter. Nutrients come into your body carrying toxins. You shed some of the toxins in your waste, but many of them accumulate in your body. The liver is one of the hardest hit areas, but different toxins will target different areas to get stored in. As time goes on, like a filter, not cleaned in a swimming pool, over time, all the crud that was in the pool winds up in the filter. The finest filters in your body: kidney, liver, lungs, tiny little tissue that can swallow up this stuff. So, time is your enemy. The longer you live, the more toxins you will accumulate. This is bioconcentration. Many life forms in the water do not eat solid food. They filter the water and clear it. So if you took one of these gastropods or a clam and you put it in a tank of dirty water, in an afternoon, they'll act like a pool filter and the water will be clear, crystal clear. And everything that was in the water is now in this filter feeder. So bioconcentration just refers to the critters that are largely just living on water itself and not a particular food source. These zebra mussels are unfortunately causing the toxins to reappear in the Great Lakes. These got into the Great Lakes about 20 years ago, and each of these can filter up to a liter of water a day up to 5 years. So that's almost 400 liters a year times 5 years. This little guy will have all the toxins of 2,000 liters of lake water in it in a single bite. It can kill a duck. So they live on the lake bottom and they stir up the mud and they wind up picking up even more toxins that fortunately had settled out over 50 years. So, what they're finding is the zebra mussels are reintroducing tremendous levels of toxins at the base of the food chain, and the bottom of Lake Erie is being mined for all this toxic mud, and they're returning it to the food chain where it had sat, hopefully out of the food chain for a long time. These zebra mussels, it only takes a few of them for a duck to eat and it dies from the sheer concentration of toxin in them. This is biomagnification, and this will be one of your mathematical tests on the ecology test at the end of the unit. Let's say we have a single carrot and you sprayed 10 units of some toxin on it, a weed killer, an insect killer. And this little bunny comes along and he eats 10 carrots. So the bunny now has 100 units of poison in his body if it is a persistent poison. The fox comes along, he eats four bunnies. Each bunny had 100 units in him. So this fox now has 400 times more poison in him than was on the ground. You read the container and it said this level was safe to spray on there, assuming that the fox came and just licked some grass. But then you're wondering why the foxes on your farm are dying and other animals, because you don't realize life has vacuumed it all up and the level was intended by the company to go, well, this level is safe if you directly spray it on an animal. We didn't think of it going into the food chain and getting more and more concentrated over time. Literally, they can measure in the high ends of the food chain 5, 10, 15, 20 million times more poison than was put in the environment for whatever reason. This is my one of my proudest diagrams because it's nice and simple. Particles go into this guy. All of these eat a pile of particles this big. Then one of these guys eats all of these times this many fish. By the time it goes in this guy, you can do the count. There's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 particles. So if each of these eats 10, there's now 100. If each of these eats one of these guys, there's now 1,000. He eats 10 of these, we're at 10,000. And guess who gets the worst? This is a nice, simple illustration I've made to give you a clear visual as to what biomagnification is and why it's dangerous to us. And this is not a distant problem. Natives in Canada are living with horrid effects from this because in the water, the food chains are longer. When you go to Zares and you buy beef, you're buying a grass eater. It lived on grass, so it could only get the toxins from the grass itself. But if you eat a salmon, you're really eating a water wolf. Salmon are meat eaters. So a salmon ate a big fish, which ate smaller fish, which ate smaller fish, which ate smaller fish, all the way down to the algae. So when you eat salmon, you might be eating 10 levels up the food chain. But when the rest of us eat chicken or beef, other than fish, the only meat you buy in a standard grocery store are herbivores. They're feeding at the bottom of the food chain. But if you're a hunter or a fisherman, you may be eating animals that are meat eaters themselves, and they're living way high up the food chain. So Canada has a real bad problem with what we did to the natives, and they have a right to be terribly angry about this. But our communities are so isolated from the native world, we often don't understand what it is they're protesting about. And this is having profound effects on them. And unfortunately, mercury causes brain damage. So we are destroying their future by this kind of poisoning. And we're not immune to it either. It's just nailing fishing communities far more than the others. So again, I'm going to pause the video right here.